Welcome to the Wealth Identity Summit. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with a true financial expert, Jolene Slavik. Jolene is not only a seasoned real estate investor and a mentor in the CORE Mentorship program, but she is also the founder of Numbers with a Z, Bookkeeping, where she helps entrepreneurs take control of their finances, build strong business foundations, and ultimately achieve financial freedom. Jolene's unique perspective on bookkeeping and financial management has helped countless entrepreneurs break through financial barriers and create sustainable wealth. In today's session, we'll explore how bookkeeping isn't just about tracking numbers, but rather a powerful tool for building prosperity. Jolene will guide us through practical steps, tools, and strategies that can help you manage your finances, create wealth, and make smarter business decisions. Welcome, Jolene.
Thank you for having me, Deb. I appreciate you.
Yes, I'm excited to talk about this. This is great and the perfect timing. We're into the fourth quarter and everybody should be thinking about their bookkeeping. Well,
Definitely.
so Jolene, many entrepreneurs think of bookkeeping as just a task to keep track of expenses. But from your perspective, how does proper bookkeeping actually help redefine someone's financial identity and create long-term wealth?
Yeah, so when you keep your books in order and regularly track those income and expenses, entrepreneurs understand that their financial health can be better through doing that, and it will be better. The more you know about where your numbers are at, the better your financial health will be.
Awesome, for sure. That's totally key. So I hope everybody wrote that down and remembers this. And I hope they take notes throughout the conversation here because
Yeah,
we've
definitely.
got a lot of important information to talk about here. So for
Yeah.
those who are just starting to look at their finances seriously, what would you say are the first few steps they should take when using bookkeeping to break financial boundaries and start building that prosperity?
Yes. So first and foremost, you would want to hire a bookkeeper. Trying to do this on your own is very difficult. It takes time, and you could be making money other ways, focusing on your business versus focusing on your finances if you hire a bookkeeping business right away. You also want to look at budgeting. Your budget is very important. You can use different avenues in order to create that budget. I personally use books and I also use a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet actually is easier for me because I'm a little on the old school side when it comes to that. Also, you want to identify patterns of your spending, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is by budgeting and tracking all of your spending. And you want to make sure that you know your spending. You also want to identify any extra cash flow you might have, because that cash flow can be used to then invest. Also, you want to make sure that you're building your credit. Credit Karma is a great tool for that. If you enter your information, and it's going to spit out your credit report, and it updates it. I believe it updates it every day.
Wow.
I check mine once a week just to see where I'm at and where I can make that extra difference. Also, you want to be ready for tax season. So you want to make sure that you're tax prepped and that you are in compliance. And the best way to do that is with a bookkeeping business, because they're going to see things and calculate things and categorize things the proper way for you, versus if you make an error, it can be costly on your taxes. And then, as I've said, you really want to use a solid bookkeeping business to help you track those financial strategies, and ultimately that will help you gain financial freedom.
So at what point should entrepreneurs consider hiring that bookkeeper?
I feel that as soon as you start your business, you should have a bookkeeper on board with you. If you do it right away, then they don't have to go back and try and figure out what you've already done. You're able to just continue moving forward with them.
So, what are some of the common financial mistakes you see entrepreneurs making, and how can better bookkeeping practices help avoid those pitfalls?
Yeah, so if some of the negligence that people have in their bookkeeping is not tracking their receipts. And if through numbers, we actually have you input your bank account information. It's all very secure, um, so that we can see every single transaction that you're making. And but with that, you also want to track your receipts. You can easily scan them into a file on your phone. It takes 30 seconds. Once you go out to dinner with that business partner, you scan it and it's in your file ready to go when tax season comes about. Failing to track your reimbursed expenses, failing to properly classify employees, not communicating. Once you do hire a bookkeeper, you want to communicate with them on a regular basis. So it really is about tracking. You just want to make sure you're tracking every transaction going in and going out.
So, setting financial goals is critical to long-term success. What are some bookkeeping best practice entrepreneurs can adopt to? You talked a little bit about the tracking progress toward these goals effectively. I know from experience, you get busy and you're working so many hours and everything, you just throw that receipt and, you know, I don't know, I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of not keeping track of my receipts very well, or I get so busy. So, are there any other practices or tips that you can give us to help, because I'm sure everybody's busy and they just get too busy to do that.
I'm also guilty. I'll be the first to admit my faults. I'm every area of my life is fairly organized except my purse. So when we go out or we're at a networking event, I'll just toss receipts in my purse. And I try to clean that out. I set it in my calendar, clean it out every Friday and scan those receipts, especially if I've had a busy networking week. So I really just try to remember, hey, I gotta scan those. I always keep them in the same spot in my purse. So I got that going for me. But you just want to make sure that if it's a guy, just stick them in your wallet or just snap a picture of it. And you can also upload that into a file on your phone as well. I just, I use an Apple product. It has files in there and I just save it right to the files.
Oh, that's a good idea. And I do like putting it in your calendar. So get that, I think things get accomplished if they're on your calendar. So put on your calendar that you're going to empty your purse, or once a week you're going to get all those receipts together and give them to your bookkeeper. That's a good idea.
Yes. And I also set alarms in my phone. I actually have an alarm for every moment of my day. I have an alarm in my phone for that.
I like that. I like that. Well, cash flow is a challenge for many entrepreneurs. How can proper bookkeeping help prevent or solve cash flow problems? And what should they be tracking to ensure financial health?
So when you're tracking, as you track your transactions, you're going to see where you have extra cash flow in your budget. And then also by accurately tracking, if you don't have that cash flow in your budget, you're able to go, hey, I need to find another source of income to create that cash flow. Or more importantly, in my opinion, you need to cut spending to create that cash flow. A lot of times, people are so set on what I'm earning, what I'm earning, but they forget, what am I spending?
Mhm.
And it's important to have goals in your finances to then create financial health. You want to look at having 3 month, 3 to 6 month goals, 6 to 12 month goals, and then 3 to 5 year goals and beyond. But you really want to focus, your little steps that you take today are going to help you create cash flow for your future. And so you really want to make sure that you create those goals, write them down, write how you're going to achieve it. If your goal, now I'm talking very small amounts here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out, you are starting out with very little. And so if you're looking at you want to acquire another business, or you want to acquire a real estate property,
Mm-hmm.
and you need cash flow to do that, you really need to look at your everyday spending so that you can reach that goal. So if you're going to Starbucks every day and you're going to Starbucks 3 times a day, that's $21 a day minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we look at $20 a day at Starbucks, that's $600 a month in a 30-day month. That's a lot of chunk change
Yeah. And
that
what
people
you
don't
could do with
really,
that, like if
yeah,
just you eliminated that coffee, what you could do with $600.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
You can, have it in your savings, and by the end of the year, that's $5,000.
Yeah, I like that. And then kind of aligning it with your goal, like if you wanted to buy a property, an investment property, this is your way to get started to be ready for when that property does show up that you want.
Yeah, and I'm wrong. It's uh $7,200. It's 600 a month.
Oh, okay. By the end of the year, yeah.
By the end of the year, it'd be $7,200. So that's a huge
That's a
chunk of
lot.
change.
Yeah.
If you're looking at even buying a new car, if you're looking at buying a house, $7,200 goes a lot further than those 3 cups of coffee that day,
Right.
you
Yeah,
know.
I like that.
So you
Well,
definitely have to,
taxes are a major concern for every business owner. How can strategic bookkeeping help with tax planning and ensure that the entrepreneurs are setting themselves up for wealth creation instead of financial setbacks?
yeah, when it comes to taxes, you want to make sure that you're tracking your KPIs, that you're tracking your ROIs. And you also want to make sure that your bookkeeping is organized. And each month with numbers, each month we have a P&L ready to go for our clients to make sure that they know where they're at each month. Also, you want to make sure in prepping for tax season that you're using separate bank accounts for all of your business accounts. You don't want your business accounts being mingled with your primary account for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also want to learn about tax deductions associated with your business. A CPA would easily be able to help you figure that out. A lot of them will even go over that with you at no cost. They're very well versed in that. And then also a big mistake that people do is they don't track their mileage. There's an app called Mile IQ where it tracks your mileage for you and it's at your fingertips on your phone.
Awesome. Well, I like that where you do it on a monthly basis so that you're not scrambling at the end of the year trying to do a whole year's worth of,
Yeah.
bookkeeping to get ready to do your taxes.
Yes.
Yeah. So much nicer to do it monthly. I like that. For entrepreneurs looking to build wealth over a long period of time, what role does bookkeeping play in their overall financial strategy and how can they use it to plan for the future?
Yeah. So, like I said, you want to keep your business and your personal separate, create a realistic budget, and then understand where your cash flow is at. And then regularly reviewing your finances. You really want to be looking at, some people look at their finances every single day. Some people it's once a week. Minimally, you really want to look at it monthly. And then you want to manage your debt wisely. There is good debt and there is bad debt. We all know this. But you want to make sure that your good debt far outweighs your bad debt. So if you do have bad debt, make sure that you're working towards paying that off. You want to just have a little nest egg in your savings account, and the rest should be going to pay off that debt
Mm-hmm.
as you venture on. And then you want to stay on top of your taxes. And all of those tips and tricks will then help you towards your financial health in moving forward with your goals in your finances and in your business.
And stop drinking that Starbucks coffee because that could go towards your bad debt.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, with so
I
many,
use,
go
I
ahead.
shouldn't even use, I'm picking on Starbucks,
Oh,
but
that's
it could be
okay.
anything. It could be the guy that goes or woman that goes to the bar every night and has a beer or a glass of wine.
Sure.
For your um whatever your vice is,
Yeah.
really look at that vice and see if there's either another way that you can partake in that in your home where it'd be a little cheaper, or get rid of it and go to the gym.
Yeah, and it's nice that, it is true, whatever vice that you have, but it is nice that you look at it and say, by doing this and spending this money on this, how is that helping me with my future, maybe investment property or whatever it is that you would really truly like to purchase? And you kind of look at it that way and make a promise to yourself that I'm going to work harder at saving that money and putting it towards my bad debt, or maybe towards that goal of a investment property, or maybe a new home or whatever it might be. So yeah, I like that. So, with all of the bookkeeping tools and software options out there, you talked about QuickBooks. What factors should business owners consider when selecting the right platform to help them manage their finances more effectively?
Yeah, so I did mention QuickBooks. We also utilize, like I said, I utilize my phone a lot. So I keep my receipts in a folder. There's also a great tool for budgeting is YNAB, YNAB. That actually helps you track all of your income, and that also it helps you track your budget.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to be able to do that and make it easy, make it more of a contest, like tracking your income and your revenue.
Yes.
I was like a
And
contest. Is that
so
app?
I'm
Is
always
that
like, I'm on my husband all the time. I'm like, hey, I'm like, is it worth it? Is that going to get you to our goal? Like, we have a goal.
Mhm.
Is that gonna get us there?
I like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, so we use QuickBooks, we use YNAB, we use Credit Karma to keep on track of our credit report. And then I use my phone to track all of our receipts. I have a folder for my husband's business. I have folders for my two businesses.
And on your phone, is that a certain app, or you're just doing that on your phone, putting it in folders?
No, there's an in on the iPhone, there's an actual icon for files. If
Oh,
you
okay.
just click on that, you can add it right to those files. That's where I keep it. It backs up to my iCloud because backing up is also important too. If you all your budgeting in one app and you don't have any backup, make sure you have backup.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. Well, how do you see the relationship between an entrepreneur's mindset and their approach to managing finances through bookkeeping? And can adopting a disciplined approach to bookkeeping actually influence how they view and build wealth?
Yeah, so when your mind is on the right track, you have positive thinking in place. If you're constantly looking at your budget or your finances and going, well, I'm never going to get there, guess what? You're never going to get there.
Yeah.
If you flip that mindset and go, I can, I will, I am doing, that will change your mindset, which will then change your finances. If you change your mindset like, oh, I gotta have, we'll pick on Starbucks again, I gotta have this cup of coffee right now. Is that cup of coffee really, actually, water gives you more energy? So go get a bottle of water for a fraction of the price at the gas station if that's what you need to do, or fill your water bottle before you leave the house. But it's, if you do that, if your physical health is in check, your financial health will be in check. All of that goes hand in hand. Your mindset controls everything we do every single day. Is your mindset. Your mindset has to be in a positive light. And there's books I actually just finished a book called, I'm going to butcher this, don't believe everything you think.
Oh, okay.
And they go into changing the way you're thinking. Actually, it tells you to stop thinking. And so it's helped change my mindset on a lot of areas of my life. And I hope it helps you too. But definitely your mindset controls a lot in everything. The more positive you are, the more you say, I am, I can, I will have X amount in my bank account in a month. I will have X amount of business in the next month. If you keep that, and then write it all down, keep it in front of you. Have your 1 month goal, have your 3 month goal, have your 6 month goal, have your 12 month goal, your 18 month, your 3 year, and keep up with that. Make sure that it's measurable. And as you go through, you can read through your goals daily, you can read through them weekly. I highly recommend at least looking at your goals every month just to stay on top of that. And that'll help change your mindset too. If you never look at your financial health, you never look at your physical health, you never look at your marriage. If you're not working on these things, it's it's gonna fail.
True.
It all takes work.
Yeah, I like that where you talk about that your health and your finances, they go together.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm not perfect. I, I'm preaching to the choir here.
and we just have to keep consistent and stick with it. Don't give up. Well, so client involvement. How involved should entrepreneurs be in their own bookkeeping processes, and what benefits do they gain from understanding the details of financial health?
Yeah, so once you hire a bookkeeping business to take over that area of your business,
Mhm.
make sure that you're communicating with them at least once a month. In the beginning, like with numbers, in the beginning, we're communicating with you constantly, just as we're learning your spending habits.
Mhm.
And then as we learn your spending habits, you want to check in with us just to get that P&L at the end of the month so that you know where your finances are at. But you definitely want to communicate. You don't want to be like, oh, I have Jolene over here doing all of my bookkeeping and life is good because she's got it. If it's numbers, we probably have it for you. But I hear horror stories all the time of people hiring bookkeeping businesses and then find out that they weren't actually doing what you're paying them to do.
Mhm.
So and the only way you're gonna know that is if you're checking it yourself, if you're on top of it yourself. So it's a give and take. You can't just hire a company and let it go I mean, you
Yeah.
can, and we hope that you trust us enough to do that. I'm just saying that I've run into people where they're like, I hired this company and they did not, my books are a mess.
Yeah.
And so going back and cleaning up a lot of people's books that first 3 months that they're with us, we're going back and cleaning up books to then prep for the current year.
Well, that's probably why it's so important to every entrepreneur to have their own vision of what they want and their goals for financial health, and then talk to the bookkeeper about that and say, this is my vision, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do, so that you're both on the same page of, and so you're kind of driving because it still is your finances, and
Yes.
you need to be able to you know be together with your bookkeeper. Well, let's
Yeah.
talk about, what if you can't afford a bookkeeper?
If you cannot afford a bookkeeper and you're just starting off, I will say that our plans start at 149 a month with numbers and it goes up from there. It depends on your transactions that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But if you cannot afford a bookkeeper, you can utilize QuickBooks and you can educate yourself to make sure that you are reconciling and categorizing properly each month. It will take some work on your end, but you can do it. It's just better to have another set of eyes on it.
Yeah. Well, don't you think that even if you, like, let's say you did nothing and then it's tax time and you go to give your CPA or your tax person a big box of stuff, isn't that going to cost you more for them to go through all that?
Yes, I actually do my own taxes at this point in my life. That is probably going to change in the next year. I do know that I believe, and maybe you know this number. I think some companies it costs like $200 every single piece of paper that they touch
Oh, wow.
to do your
Wow.
taxes. So could you imagine if your numbers were not in order and you hand them all your receipts, how much that's going to add up to?
Yeah.
So yes, having your books in order, paying the 200 a month to have somebody do your books can actually save you. I mean, some people, it could save them thousands,
Well, yeah,
thousands.
especially if your bookkeeper, caught something or told you how to do something different throughout the year, so that you'd be ready before the year ends and not wait till after the year's over and then and it's too late to do anything about it. But so yeah, a bookkeeper can save you a lot.
Yes,
So I
yes,
guess the sooner you start with a bookkeeper, the better, and it'll save you more money.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Well, how does bookkeeping help entrepreneurs confidently take ownership of their financial identity and in doing so, unlocking greater opportunities for growth and wealth? And we did talk a little bit about that with the opportunities.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. About when it comes to wealth identity and financial tracking, how does mastering bookkeeping help entrepreneurs confidently take ownership of their financial identity?
Yeah, if you know where your numbers are at and you have your P&L and you're tracking your spending, you're tracking your budget, your credit rating. If you know where your credit score is at, then you're in a better financial. So even if that budget is zero, even at the end of the day, if you have your income and you have all of your spending, and at the end of that, the number is zero, you can work with that because at least then you know that the number is zero. If
Hmm.
you don't know that and you just keep spending every month, you're gonna go in the hole
Hmm.
very, very quickly. And so even if that number is zero, you at least know what you have to build on. And so then you're able to take a look at, okay, where can I cut spending? Do I need to get that second job? Do I need to take on that next freelance position? You need to look, even if, like I said, even if that number is zero, you at least have a building block to where you want to be.
Yeah, you
And so
can't just
that is
have your head in the
very
sand
important.
and just try to avoid it. You can't just try not to look at it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Well, so finally, how can the audience connect with you?
Yes, you can reach us at admin, ADMIN, at numbers, NUMBRZ.US. And we will do our best to get back in touch with you within 24 hours.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That's awesome. I know that when I have my finances together and I've got all my things done, it actually makes me feel better. I actually walk around a little bit more confident.
It's
And if things are
absolutely,
messy or cluttered and things and I don't have them done, it just kind of, it doesn't, I don't have a smooth day.
it's like every area of your life, in my opinion. If I have laundry sitting in my bedroom and it's not put away properly, I'm not going to sleep that night. It's the
Yeah.
same way with your finances. There's times in my life where I've literally been kept up because I don't know where my numbers are at.
Yeah.
And then that affects your physical health. And so it is all so connected. and people tend to neglect that financial piece.
Awesome. So everybody, get your numbers together. Start with hooking up with Jolene. You have to start somewhere, and that would be a great start. So contact Jolene and get your numbers straight.
Thank you so much, Deb.
Yeah, Jolene, thank you so much for sharing your invaluable insights today. It's clear that bookkeeping is far more than just keeping track of numbers. It's a powerful tool that can help entrepreneurs redefine their wealth identity, break those financial boundaries, and build true prosperity. Your expertise has given our audience tangible steps they can take to master their finances and create lasting wealth. For those of you who want to dive deeper into this journey, Jolene's work through Numbers Bookkeeping offers even more resources and guidance. Remember, financial mastery is within your reach, and it begins with the decisions that you make today. Jolene, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us at the Wealth Identity Summit. Thank you so much for being a part of this movement to help entrepreneurs build prosperous futures.
Thank you, Deb. I appreciate you.
Thank you.